And looks like we're live. How are we doing, guys? Check all of us. Make sure we're doing okay. Make sure everything sounds all right. We are trying to make sure that we're using all of our things appropriately.
We're
Looks like,
using all of the processing power we can possibly use.
yeah, it looks like we've got a little bit of video lag. Yeah, we've got video
There's
lag.
always lag.
No, I'm talking about we've got video stutter. So we are going to be changing that up just a little bit. So if we've got it, if we drop, guys, just give us a little bit. Ooh. Everything should be okay. How are we doing? No, we've got.
Looks good to me.
How are we looking on Twitch? Video
We
wise.
look okay on Twitch.
All right.
Man, I look as good as I ever do.
I mean, all I can see is John's handsome face and your hand and my palette. So
I don't know what the video looks like, so we're going to check out that because we're trying to get some stuff going. How do we sound, guys? Looks like we got some bad video stutter.
Looks okay to me from what I'm seeing. Maybe a drop frame or two here or there.
Yeah, I'm not, because it shows that our
Okay.
All right, I'm going to have to drop Facebook Live. I'll bring it back up in just a second. I'm going to switch its requirement
Oh, noted.
because we were getting bad video lag on that. So we're
Fair
gonna
enough.
Switch that over to that.
at any rate, hi everybody on Twitch.
Yeah,
Welcome
hi.
to
Twitch.
the podcast.
Yeah.
Today is episode 68.
Yay, Kathy checked beforehand. Thank you, Kathy.
I actually checked too, and I was like, "Oh, better make sure we're doing this right."
I like Gonzo's sitting there troubleshooting and we're not saying anything. I'm like, we're live on Twitch, so you know.
I mean, they're used to us by now, I'd hope.
You should probably talk.
Yeah, probably should talk. I'm John.
I'm Kathy.
And I'm Gonzo. Hopefully we're doing everything okay, guys. We're trying to make sure everything works fully fine. If you're listening to us right now, hit something in chat. And don't forget, sometime today we will be giving away 2 gift certificates to Tectonic Craft Studios.
What?
What? Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tectonic Craft Studios, home of the laser cut MDF wood that smells like a campfire.
Yep. And Arky Dan and Tectonic Craft Studios, the ones who are helping support, along with Use Minis, helping support my Age of Cigar Slow Grow League. So hats off to both you guys.
That's awesome. You're having some success with that Slow Grow League, aren't you?
Yeah, we got 13 people. No more than 2 people playing the same army. So, but that's all good.
Other than that, let's go and do our shout outs to everything because we want to thank all of our sponsors that help us make this possible. Muse on Minis for supplying a bunch of stuff for us and for helping us keep the lights on. Also, of course, we just mentioned Tectonic Craft Studios. I mean, hell, we don't have to go any further with that. He's so awesome. And also, we want to thank Mechanica Studios. Chris is helping us out with a bunch of stuff, and we'll have our store up shortly, so you can buy more cool products from us.
Awesome.
Also, guys, we want to remind you that we do have a Patreon account where you can subscribe to get some extra cool stuff. We will be having our dice coming back in pretty soon, so everybody can have that again. And then we've got some cool extra stuff going on that. And I'm about to add my own little pledge to it to help out, but it will be a really cool one. Can't talk about it yet.
Oh, it's a secret, huh?
It's a
Super secret stuff.
Super
It's
secret.
so secret, John and I don't even know about it.
John and I have talked about it already once, so he knows about it. We just haven't figured out the details, and I'm about to add into it.
Oh, God, is that thing we talked about that we didn't know the details because time intensive?
Yes.
Okay, well,
Yes.
I guess that's the thing that's happening now.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
We'll tell you later.
We've talked about it with you before, but
Yeah.
But guys, if you don't know about it, everything about our Patreon, first level is kind of our thank you level. Thanks for supporting us. You get the pre-ramble for that, and only you get the pre-ramble. Only supporters get the pre-ramble, which is a good 30 minutes of us yammering about our week and talking about some cool stuff. And then our $2 level, you support us, you will get the More Than Dice action figure, which is of course, a DS6, which we are waiting from our guys to give us a new one. We're just waiting on it. They were pretty far behind on it. The $5 level, if you're a $5 level, you can get a hangout with Kathy. So you can do some painting with her and ask her some questions, type thing. $10 level is you can, I don't remember what our next level is. It's been a while.
So also, we'll say this here and Gonzo's later. Also, at the $5 level, I will work at a hangout with you to play Transformers the card game if you want.
That's cool.
That's something Gonzo and I have figured out how to do. So that's on the plate.
Playing games with us is going to be one of the levels that we'll do and teach. And one of them's coming up that are still top secret. Of course, one of the levels is you can suggest a movie for all three of us to watch, and we have to go watch it. Which is a really, really nasty one.
Nasty for us, maybe
or
hilarious
great
for you.
Or great.
Their podcast did that, and they've gotten mixed results, but it's been pretty positive overall.
And then the last one is you force me to sing a song on air. Or Kathy, because Kathy says she'll do it even more than once, because she's that kind of person.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
We'll always remember the time that I rapped Will Smith's Wild Wild West.
Because it was epic.
Epic.
Epic is one way to describe it, I guess.
Also, KovnikScottyPotty, fun fact, you can hang out with Kathy on Monday and Thursdays on Twitch.
That is true. Mondays and Thursdays, which also rhymes or starts with a T.
Indeed, and ends with a day.
Yes.
But the Patreon version is you get to paint with her, and she can help you and teach you. So you get to have all that fun stuff.
That is her goal, not necessarily just to paint for painting her stuff that she wants to or has to.
So what else? Anything else? I think that's a good business. We get the business out of the way.
Yep. Now the sad.
Aww.
We have sad stuff. What is our first sad of the podcast?
Well, I mean, I only know one sad. Is there another sad that I'm missing?
Oh, I have no clue. That's the reason why I was asking.
That was the only one that I was.
Yeah, it's the only one I'm aware of. So our sad is unfortunately the little rover that could opportunity is no longer functioning. They have called him dead. His battery was low and it was getting dark.
Yep.
And class is up to him because I mean you're designed for the last 90 days. You last 15 years.
Yeah, which is the incredible part.
Yeah. Hats off to all the designers, everyone involved.
And before we do our drink,
good scotch for that.
What is everybody drinking tonight, by the way?
I have some of this Auchentoshan scotch that belongs to Banyan for a good proper send off, and then I'm going to go to a 43 vanilla liquor mixed with orange juice.
Cool. Kathy, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking a gin and tonic.
What?
Sapphire gin, my favorite. Tonic and a little bit of lime juice.
Sweet. Today I am having a cherry stout. Stout brewed with cherry juice. So to opportunity. Cheers.
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 I think that's really good.
Yeah, that is really good.
Oh. And so today's episode is brought to you by KovnikScottyPotty.
Oh, it's going to go by the letter R.
I was thinking the letter Q.
The letter Q.
I'm so glad we're all four. And the number 4.
And the number 4. KovnikScottyPotty did suggest that we do an episode on remakes. Remakes of everything, I guess, is what it's going to be.
And by remake, you mean
Movies, TV shows, video games, you name it.
Books, comic books, whatever you want to hit.
Yep. It's
They're
all. He
all
just said
things that happens
remakes.
a lot.
Yes. There's a lot of remakes going on. So I think we should probably do this in like
Start with not movies, and
not
then
movies,
since
yeah,
you
because
ran out of other
movies,
stuff, go into movies and run straight in the movie section.
yeah,
I like
because
that.
we can have because movies are remade. I would say a lot more than anything else. So
Correct.
we should probably do those last. I have one video game that I'd like to talk about.
Sure. Yes.
Because recently, Nintendo Switch, they released one of the Final Fantasies for Nintendo Switch again. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I didn't care for it because that seems to be what a lot of Nintendo Switch stuff is. And I'm like, there's no reason for me to play that again, in my opinion.
Which Final Fantasy was that?
12, I think. I can't remember. That's not bad. I can't remember what the number was. You'll have to excuse me on that one. With the Black Mage. All right, I'll do a quick search of it. John, you've got your computer there. I don't. I've got paint and my brush.
Wow, I see they have a whole bunch done.
Yeah, well, this week there was a new remake. And I kind of was like, nope, not going to get into it. And it's not that the reviews were bad and, it's got the nostalgia going on. I'm just like, I want something new to play. I don't want to play something I've played before.
And they're coming. Apparently, I got a list here is 7, 9, 10, and 12 all coming to Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, they'll be bringing out the Final Fantasy VII, which is I'm kind of looking forward to that because it's really old school graphics. So I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Really old school graphics.
Yeah.
But that's a good topic because that's the one everyone has screamed and clamored for them to remake or re-release because it was, a favorite on PlayStation.
Yes, it was. It was the one that I was like, damn, this is good on, when I was playing on the PlayStation. So I'm looking forward to that one. And the remakes to see if it's worth a damn or not. But I don't. I mean, okay, I got my Nintendo Switch. I love my Switch. Don't get me wrong. But I don't want to buy remakes or upgraded graphics because they're bringing out Legend of Zelda with a remade engine and remade stuff. And I'm like, I don't care for that.
But to be fair, new systems and portable systems beginning remakes of full games is a common thing they've done in the past.
Correct. So, I mean, it's not that I'm against it. It's just I would rather give me another new Zelda game. I'll take a new Zelda game over doing Legend of Zelda.
So, did they just reissue it in a format that fits the Switch, or is it all new?
Well, they have to reprogram it to fit to work with the Switch's technology. So it's not like it's a super easy thing. And honestly, the reason they do that is because it's not as much work as making a whole new game, and it gets them more titles on their new platform quickly,
right,
which is why you always saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is it essentially the same game, or is it?
Far as I know.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same game with just updated graphics and engine to, get you with the new to get in the new system. So I mean, I was just like, okay. I mean, I know a lot of people that were like stupid excited for it, which okay, be excited for it. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to, take away your thunder if that's what you're into, but I'm just
Remember, nostalgia is a powerful thing, especially at our ages and our friends' ages and in our various hobbies. It's a powerful, powerful thing. We'll be talking about nostalgia again and again with this.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what people are going for. They could care less whether some people care less if it was a good remake or not. It just brings back the old, I remember when I was 13 when this came out, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I mean. Nostalgia is powerful, and also, I mean, honestly, people gravitate towards things that they're comfortable with, which is sort of the key of remakes in general, is that people are familiar with the story, familiar with the characters, and it can get some extra people because it's taking them back to a familiar place. Like, I don't have to go into the unknown. I don't know if I will like this. I know I inherently like the idea of this, so I'm starting off with a plus.
Yeah. And they released it at a decent price too. I will have to say that. They didn't, try to put it as a, a huge jump in price or anything. I mean, it was $20. So I mean, that's a reasonably priced for a remake game. So I mean, there's, no argument there. I just was like, personally, I want new games on my Switch.
Oh, and no one blames you for that.
Yeah. So
I mean, honestly, video games in general. Look at Madden. Madden can technically be defined most years as just a remake of the last year's with some new players added and changed.
yeah, true.
I mean, it's the ultimate remake series.
Yep.
Every once in a while, they'll add an actual new feature to the game, and I haven't played Madden in years, but
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's a big remake, and people like it because it's familiar, and it keeps them in that happy place.
It does.
I mean, um,
So
I mean,
with video games, that's what I see. If it's going to be a remake, it's just trying to get that nostalgia feeling, so people will buy it and play it.
Yep. And as Jason Hensley says on Facebook, nostalgia equals money. That is true, Jason.
Yep.
100%. That's what it does.
I mean, look at Borderlands 2 released a Borderlands 2 3D port edition, so you can play it with the 3D stuff.
Yeah, the VR.
The VR, no. Which is kind of cool, but they did some work on it. They actually redid some of the voice lines. Since they don't have the same old actor to do Claptrap anymore, they got a new voice actor doing Claptrap. Some changes and all, but still, I mean, it's a remake. Is it good? I mean, sometimes when you got new technology, it's worth it. Like the aforementioned Final Fantasy VII, everyone wants them to remake it, but on like a real system, update the graphics and everything. Yeah. But I mean, is that really what they want?
And that's my thing too. Is it really going to be worth it?
Don't think so, but it could be.
It could be. Because all of the video games, I'm looking at some of this stuff and I'm like, ooh, I remember playing this as a kid. Ooh, I remember playing this, when I was younger. And then I get it and I'm like, sometimes it just doesn't feel, it's not there. So I'm just like, okay.
It's a fine line between a franchise and a reboot.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to see a reboot of Zelda, but they could have just taken the same stuff, changed a couple villains around, tiny tweaks to the words of the story, and is it a new edition? Is it just a new entry into the series, or is it actually a remake at that point?
KovnikScottyPotty brings up something, not like Skyrim. Skyrim has been remade and remixed and re-put out so many times it's not even funny.
Yeah, but that's their jam. That's how that...
And yet I still haven't played it.
I haven't played it either, but I mean, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, but that one, because they did Skyrim in VR too, which I thought would be a really cool thing. Never got it. Never did it because I was happy with but if it comes down in price, I might buy it in VR.
About VR stuff, it requires stereo vision, which I do not technically possess. I cannot do the VR.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I have it and I like my VR, but I'm not sure if I want to spend a whole another $60 on, seeing and playing the game that I played in regular.
Yep. So, video games are rife with it, but I think they're probably one of the least remake locations, because honestly, they can just literally make a new entry into a series and have it work. I mean, you take out the Madden and the other games where they're not changing the game every year. It's basically, we're just updating rosters. I'm like, yeah, that's you're basically doing a remake with some new rosters.
Yeah.
That's sort of the idea, but, it's a franchise. It walks that fine line.
Correct, it does, because, I mean, now there are some that are, like I said, the Final Fantasy, they were remaking, and they're stuff like that. And it's okay. I mean, if that's what you're into, I'm not going to, but I mean, there's very few games that I would get that I would be like, oh, I have to have this, even though it's a remake.
Fair enough. And then, jump into books and novels. I mean, generally, you don't get a lot of remakes in books and novels because that's generally called plagiarism.
That is true.
But when you do, you get something like, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, where
Oh
it's this
yeah, yeah.
story with, some fresh take on it. And honestly, I find literature is probably the absolute last place you would see a literal remake of something.
Yeah.
I think Death at Pemberley was another good example of that. It was more of a sequel to uh, you know, Pride and Prejudice.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, in those, I watched something recently where they mentioned the beginning of stuff like War of the Worlds, where literally it's just the same kind of novel that was coming out at that time, just taken a little differently. And that's the good thing about literature is that rather than, remaking an entire story, they'll take the concept of the story and put their own twist on it,
Yeah. Like the
which
zombies.
generally wouldn't really count as a remake. It's a whole different thing, but very
Hmm.
similar stories. So that one's luckily safe. Comics, on the other hand, comics are rife with remakes. As a matter of fact, I would say DC Comics has been the absolute worst about that. Because every time they reboot something, they try and tell some of the iconic stories again, just with their new continuity.
Yeah. Their
To
new
go to
world.
some of my favorites, the Legion of Superheroes, who I don't think currently have a comic and haven't had a good comic in a long, long time. When they did one of their remakes, they tried to remake the Great Darkness saga, which is one of their big, big stories in that, and it just didn't take off as well because it was blatantly a remake. Oh look, you got Dark Side and all this and this. It's all the same stuff again. So, I think you find like it tends to be sometimes in video games, they don't hold up well. They try and tell some of the same stories again and read and change it a bit, which is fine if you're in a different medium. It's funny that all these comics that where they try and remake an old story, you're doing what they normally do when they translate them to a different genre. Like when they take a comic book and put it into the movie and they tweak some stuff up, so it's following the basic lines and idea of the comic, but going a different sort of direction. Marvel does that a lot. Um, but you're doing it in a comic book again. It's not the same thing. Rather than trying to tell good stories, and that's sort of a problem of letting your history go and trying to make it approachable for new people rather than just have people go and research the history.
Yeah.
If you sugarcoat it and you sort of hand it to them on a golden platter, they'll go for it. But why not let them find that rich, diverse backstory and history rather than trying to remake and let them experience the story. Let them experience the original story. Let them go research it, make the stuff to research it and get that backstory available. Let it become available. Put those graphic novels and collections out. Let them get to that point on their own and enjoy it properly. Honestly, in some cases, that's sort of the same thing with the video games. Let them enjoy it in the original form, the proper form, unless you really do something crazy. But
We can go back a little bit towards comic books because Marvel has done that I wouldn't say recently, but in the last like 6 years, and DC has done that quite a bit to try to get, hey, here's a fresh new take on Thor, or a fresh new take on, all these other superheroes.
I don't
Because
really count it as a remake if they keep all the backstory intact. The
Oh,
DC
really?
ones, absolutely, because they're like, we're rebooting everything, but then you tell some of the same stories again. You want to get that iconic story to get the character to the point he needs to be at, because that's what people see. And a reboot makes it difficult. Marvel sometimes takes a new take, but it's literally like a new take on it. And sometimes DC does too. They'll change up like who the main Green Lantern is and tell different stories with that without necessarily killing all the backstory of that off.
Yeah.
But often they, like I said, they will reboot. They did their whole New 52, and then they tried to tell some of the same stories again rather than telling new stories.
I don't know how many times I can take seeing Peter Parker become Spider-Man, though.
That was the great thing about Spider-Man Homecoming. He didn't need to. He was already Spider-Man. You know, they treated you like an adult. You know what his backstory is.
Yeah.
I mean, I said this when I reviewed Superman last year. They gave you some broad strokes, but they didn't tell you all the little details necessarily because you know who he is. You don't need to know all the little tiny bits and all that. You know who Superman is. Same with Batman and Keaton's Batman. You didn't need to know all the details.
Mm-hmm.
He's Batman. You know who he is. Now, this is one of the rare cases where something like Batman Begins actually did a good job of doing an origin story, but that's because they wove it into the entire narrative of the trilogy they were making. But yeah, that's sort of the whole remake thing. Remakes get you an origin story again.
Unless you're doing something new and interesting with a remake story, we don't.
And how much new and interesting can you do with a remake story? I mean, we're sort of crossing over into movies. This is going to be the big portion of this, anyways.
Yeah.
Let's backpedal and hit some games. Games do it all the time. They're actually called new editions.
Fantasy Flight Games has bought the rights to a lot of different games like Cosmic Encounter, Twilight Imperium.
And they're pure remakes. They might change a couple mechanics here or there because the mechanics are showing their age. But it's
or they need to be changed.
Or they need to be changed. That's usually what I mean by showing their age, because I like to mention, back in the day when you were playing old games, there was no such thing as game balance. The game was what it was, and some of those things were broke as fuck.
There wasn't any patches to fix stuff. It was just there.
I mean, look at freaking, Rogue Trader 40K. If it was broke, it was broke. Suck it. This is what you got.
Yeah.
I keep waiting for Fantasy Flight to get their hands on the IP for Age of Renaissance, which is one of my favorite board games to play with some friends of mine, and I would love to see them redo it and correct a few of the just tweak it a little bit for some of the imbalances.
But isn't that sort of the way people want Fantasy Flight to get their game to put a new edition of, basically to remake it and make it better, because the little things they do tend to make a game better. Netrunner, they got Netrunner from, it was an old WotC game, and they made the game better. It plays maybe similarly, but they made the whole thing better. L5R plays similar to the old one. I don't know if it plays better. It's less broke as fuck, a little longer, but it's interesting. Their remake of the L5R game, I don't know how that's gone, but I wasn't a fan.
The RPG?
Yeah.
I bought into not this last edition, but the one before that. And it was a good edition. The big problem is it's still... Some people don't like it because it's super deadly. Because L5R is, well, you get hit by a sword. Well, you could die with one sword cut.
This is why my character went first.
Yeah. Because your character could die from a single sword cut.
Yeah. Jason Henley says that he'd love a remake of Hero Quest. Everyone's hoping for a remake of Hero Quest, but too many trademark issues. That'd be a great game. Honestly, Games Workshop. That is all they do nowadays.
Yeah.
Just rebooting their old games.
Rebooting their old games, trying to do a fair amount of whatever they can. Necromunda, Blood Bowl, technically Epic through the Titanicus game, or they're rebooting the original Epic, which was Adeptus Titanicus.
Yeah, but
not Hero Quest, Warhammer Quest. They're rebooting all of their games and just throwing them out there and seeing what works and what doesn't. But they're definitely riding the nostalgia train.
Yeah, but, okay, I want to go back because you were talking about Adeptus Titanicus for being epic. Well, it's not really, though. It's not.
But remember, the first Epic really was just Adeptus Titanicus. That was the first box set.
Okay, so I don't know that because the Epic I remember was,
you
the
remember
little small stuff.
stuff.
Yeah, everything. You had the ships.
They could easily make that from there. I'm sure they're waiting to see how does this go. Do we want to make this a full Epic system?
Because that was really fun too.
Well, Epic Armageddon was a great game.
Yes.
It was probably one of their best rule sets.
It was a lot of fun. I had a blast with
it was a lot of fun. We'll see if it goes, but mean, that's what they're doing right now. GW is, in addition to making new editions, which can sort of be called a reboot or a remake. New edition is sort of a remake. Like, hey, we didn't get it quite right the first time. Let's put it out again. And it's sort of really a gaming thing. It's not like something like Magic where they do a new edition and it's new. They're changing things heavily. They're changing up their meta. This is like a whole new. I mean, it's the same game just with some tweaks here or there. Except in the case of Warhammer Fantasy, where they literally didn't reboot it. They made a whole new game called it Age of Sigmar, and that's where that is now. But honestly, their 40K, while they are rebooting it, so to speak, they literally rebooted it because they changed a lot of the backstory, changed a lot of, well, maybe nothing major, but a lot of little details and background stuff were changed. And they're advancing a storyline. So, I mean, it's kind of cool in their case, but it is still technically a remake.
Well, I mean, I remember, when they remade Necromunda. I was like, cool, I remember the old Necromunda. I remember doing all this cool stuff with it and having gang fights and all these, cool terrain and letting guys die or, remaking gangs and having the campaign with it. And when they brought it out, I was like, this is not Necromunda.
This is none of those things.
Yeah.
So that was what we call just playing up purely off the nostalgia of the name.
Yeah.
Now, apparently, it has gotten to that point again, but
Correct.
It took a little while.
Yeah. Because I was kind of disappointed in that, but that's.
But you notice, so the Necromunda didn't necessarily go off like they wanted it to. Went pretty well. They got some people buying it all, but then Kill Team comes out and it just explodes.
Yes.
To show you, people are waiting for a new idea.
Yes.
I mean, you can reboot the game, but what they really want is they want the exact same game and feel. And if you're not bringing that, you better be prepared for some failure. All the game companies do new additions to varying effectiveness, which, but very few of them actually reboot their fluff, so to speak.
Correct.
Malifaux is progressing fluff. Infinity is progressing fluff and story. I've only seen Games Workshop literally reboot. And you get the 40K, which is sort of what we would call a soft reboot.
Uh-huh.
And then you get the Age of Sigmar, which, while a new game from a story perspective for that game, it's progression, but it's a hard reboot to the whole series.
Yeah, they pretty much got rid of everything and just said, hey, new world.
Yep, new world, but it's attached, so it is a very interesting. It's sort of like the Star Trek reboots.
Yep.
The lore it plays off the same lore, even though the mechanics of the game are completely different.
Yep, and they just got rid of a lot of the details. Like, oh, yep, the world's not there anymore. It went away, but now they're fighting on all these various realms. So kind of interesting. Yeah, I think that's the games I can think of. I mean, role-playing games do it all the time.
Yeah. But usually those new additions are like updated rules systems. And
yeah, they're not necessarily reboots because they don't necessarily change the story back to zero. Some do.
Yeah, but not many.
Shadowrun kind of had to as technology caught up.
Correct.
Yeah.
When things started feeling silly, like, oh, you got the Packer secretary phone. Like, yeah, come on, man. I got a cell phone, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
Let's get realistic here.
And you would think, if anything, sci-fis would be the ones that would have to update just because of the changing of technologies at the time.
Oh, yeah. Actually, honestly, it's only near future sci-fis because most of the far future ones go far enough out there that they don't need to worry about it. But the near future, the cyberpunks, the Shadowruns have to reboot to make it work.
Because you're like, oh, a Decker, he's carrying this cool keyboard with him wherever he goes. You mean it's like the same thing I have in my pocket right
you
now?
mean like a laptop, for fuck's sake?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5th edition Forgotten Realms, because 4th edition did jack it up pretty well. Some worlds get a reboot when they do there. That's a good one, KovnikScottyPotty.
I haven't even seen Forgotten Realms in 5th edition.
Yeah, it's because 4th edition Forgotten Realms didn't really exist. I mean, it's one of the parts that failed about fourth edition is they didn't really get the worlds as cool as they could have. I like the rules, but in fact, honestly, I would say fourth edition D&D was a reboot compared to the other editions because they completely changed everything. Wasn't just some rules revision. It was like complete back to start, let's go. But I feel like
that wasn't the Eberron one, was it? What was it? Did they try to use
Eberron was 3.5.
3.5, okay. Yeah, that didn't go very well either.
It was interesting. It was steep.
I enjoyed it. I had a friend who was running something in Eberron, and we played a few times, and I liked it.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Well, it just didn't take off the way they thought it was going to be because that was the world that a player made.
I think that was shortly before.
Let's be honest. It was a contest, but the guy who won it was actually like a game designer / writer.
Yeah,
he just wasn't employed by WotC.
Yeah.
So it's not like
Random Joe off the street
plays D&D, wrote a campaign world, and they took it.
Yeah.
Nah. But yeah, so that I think was just a case of them being slightly too early for the steampunk explosion. But in any case, I think we're up to movies now, and this is going to be the bulk of it.
The bulk and meat.
Because the movies love to remake because Hollywood is afraid of a fresh idea.
Which, let's go with one that's a pretty obvious, and I did hint about it in the pre-ramble, which is Disney. Disney right now is remaking all of their cartoons into live action. We've had Beauty and the Beast. We've had all of these, and we've got Lion King coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've seen Beauty and the Beast. Saw the original cartoon, loved it, cool, great music. It's a classic. And then watched the live action, and I didn't really like it. It wasn't that great, and I don't want to say it was because it was a remake because it was live action, or if you just can't recreate that feeling of the cartoon.
That's what I have to say might be a you issue because most people I talk to who love the original loved the movie.
Correct. It just didn't seem to have that same feel.
That's it is, and also, but that's sort of the thing of nostalgia. Sometimes you try and hit that nostalgia, and it doesn't work for certain people.
Yeah,
it's not taking you back. It's not the same thing. It wasn't. It's an expectation thing. You want that same feeling, but it's not eliciting it because it's not fresh anymore. It's I don't want to say tired, but it's an idea that you've heard before.
Mm-hmm.
So no longer is it, this brand new thing. It is that thing I saw before, just, in this case, just live action.
Yes. Banyan does says, we have Aladdin coming up too, which has caught a lot of flack.
Yep.
Recently.
And then they did, Jungle Book?
Jungle Book?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jungle Book was...
Dumbo?
Dumbo. It hasn't fully come out yet, has it?
I don't actually watch any of those, so I don't really know.
I can't remember if it's fully come out or not.
They're doing Lion King, I know.
Yep.
Which is okay this time around because they bought the studio that made Kimba the White Lion, so it's perfectly legal now.
Which I think is... which, if you really think about it, the Lion King has a different section and kind of way it's being remade because there's no humans involved. It's all CGI and...
So you're saying it's all animated?
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about it.
Just asking. So, on that one in particular, why are they doing it again? Oh, wait. Money. We're good now. I remember.
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah, money.
Xander Road, you're right. Jungle Book hasn't remade so many times. It's just another one now. Correct. That is not a Disney-owned property that is available in common usage.
Yeah.
So, fair enough. It's like Dracula. Anyone can remake it because that's a character in common usage now.
Yep.
Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster.
Yep. I want to hit on... So, I mean, going back to the Disney thing, Disney's going to constantly remake all their stuff. I have a feeling that every movie that we have, every cartoon that we had, they're going to remake it as a live action.
Hold on a second. Then where the hell is my Robin Hood?
I will agree with you on that because they haven't remade Robin Hood, but that would be really cool because I love Robin
I'm
Hood.
waiting for the computer wore tennis shoes.
I wouldn't say I'm waiting for that, Kathy. I would say that's a movie that could come out, but I'm kind of hoping not. Would they animate that now since it was live action first?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the A for public domain. That's what I was looking for, public domain for all those characters. So yeah, I'd love to see Robin Hood get a remake.
Yeah, that would be good.
That is my favorite Disney animated movie, but that also speaks to my age and what I was watching at the time.
Your nostalgia.
Pure nostalgia. Bedknobs and Broomsticks. They'd have to make that
Man.
fully animated because it was live action the first time.
Escape from Witch Mountain.
They remade that?
Yeah, why?
Yeah.
The Rock?
Yeah.
Remember?
Yep.
No, don't remember. Because no one fucking watched it. So yeah, that's what Disney's like that, and also they're doing little short snippets of Star Wars. Say that 3 times fast. YouTube, where they're doing animated things. It's like this is what happened in this movie, and the real, soundtrack with it, which leads them to believe they might try and do animated Star Wars remakes.
Yep.
Which, while we can all scream in horror, we all know we'll be right there in the theater to fucking watch them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would. Talk about Godzilla. How many times has Godzilla been rebooted?
And being rebooted again.
No, it's a sequel.
Oh, they're gonna make it a sequel?
It's a sequel.
No.
At
Okay.
least it's better than the Godzilla with Matthew Broderick.
Oh,
I set the bar low there. I'm sorry.
Let's talk about one that was rebooted. What, 3 times? The second time. There's been 2 reboots of it, and all by the same. It's Spider-Man. I mean, we had our first one, and then
One, yep.
Yep, and then our second one, which was
Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, Andrew Garfield, and then we have our new one, which is part of the MCU. Technically, more into it now.
It is even better technically. It's completely part of the MCU.
And so when it first came out, the first Spider-Man that came out really wasn't that bad when you think about it, but it hasn't aged well.
So Spider-Man was a character people knew, but maybe not as many people knew. He was not Superman in the late 70s or Batman in the late 80s.
Yeah.
People didn't necessarily know. So having an origin story, cool. And then Amazing Spider-Man, that's 10 years later? Maybe not even fully 10 years later.
Yep.
Everyone kind of knew Spider-Man's story. I like that they kind of took it a little different. It followed the broad strokes rather than the specific strokes, which you're like, another Spider-Man origin. Do I really need to see that?
Yep. And that didn't last very long.
No, because they tried the DC version of didn't fucking earn it. Trying to go too fast, too far, too much.
Yep.
And then we got the newest version of Spider-Man, but they didn't do an origin story there.
Nope.
It just was, which is cool.
But there was certain things about each one of them that, are different, that I did like certain parts of it. Like I liked the age of the new Spider-Man. I like that he's
Tom Holland
younger.
is a good age, yep.
Yeah, I like the age of that one, but I like Andrew Garfield's sarcastic attitude better than all the other Spider-Mans.
I'll actually give Tom Holland a good one on that too, because I like his banter and fights. Tobey Maguire was great for the time, but overall he's not he's the 3rd best of those Spider-Men.
Yeah.
And the 4th best in media, go look up the 70s Spider-Man, you'll agree with me.
Yeah, I remember those. But I mean, it could be just because of the writing, the way they're taking it, but I liked the PG banter, in Tom Garfield more than I liked the...
You cross the streams. Andrew Garfield.
Garfield than Tom's. And it's just a writing thing. But if we could have more of that type of attitude in there, I would.
They both deliver pretty well.
Yeah. I just liked Andrew Garfield's delivery more.
Spider-Man is awesome. No, Xander Warlord, Japanese Spider-Man is not awesome. And I'll get to your other comment as soon as we get done talking about Spider-Man and the like. Talking about Spider-Man, we should talk about the Hulk.
Yeah,
He
being
got a full
rebooted.
reboot.
Yeah.
Now, technically, it's an actor change now from Edward Norton to
Oh God,
the
what
guy
is?
who's playing it now. I can't remember.
Oh, can't remember either, but I know what you're talking about.
Someone will get us and save us in the chat room. Save us in the
Yeah.
chat room. But the Eric Bana one
Mark
now
Ruffalo.
is like Mark Ruffalo. Thank you. Yeah, so the Eric Bana one does not exist in the Marvel continuity,
Correct.
even though it has a better Betty Ross and a better General Thunderbolt Ross, because Sam Elliott and Jennifer Connelly.
I totally forgot about Eric Banon's one.
Yeah,
Ooh.
but so technically, the Edward Norton one is part of the Marvel Universe, and just they changed from Edward Norton to Mark Ruffalo, which is cool. I will say this is a great reboot because
Yes.
the Marvel Hulk is so much better than the Eric Bana Hulk. I am sorry. I love Eric Bana and a lot of things. I love most of the cast. That movie was not good. Not really. So that was a good positive one. But then you get, Batman. How many Batmans have we had now?
Oh, yeah. That's the king
Too
of
many.
remakes.
Reboots have we had, not just actor changes. Not,
Yeah.
Too
not
many.
looking at, James Bond's a different thing. And the first several Batman were all sort of James Bond changes. But we've got the Tim Burton Batman series, which ended with Joel Schumacher. Those are a thing that have to be seen to believe. You get past the first one at your own risk. I suggest watch the first one and then just maybe drink some alcohol and get ready for a ride. But then you go to, Christopher Nolan's Batman series, which I think starts very strong and just goes downhill after the first one. Yeah, don't at me. I like Batman Begins better than The Dark Knight.
I think you have to point there that it was really good, and then it just went up and then dropped.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then you have
He
then you had
had
Ben Affleck's Batman, Batfleck, who I thought did a fine job, but didn't get his own movie.
correct.
But he's in things, and now you're going to get a new Batman.
Have they announced that yet? Who it is yet?
Yeah, no one knows what DC's doing anymore, least of all DC. Superman got reboots, but they were weird.
Where?
So,
I want to talk about the different Superman because, of course, we grew up with Christopher Reeves.
okay, so Christopher Reeve is Superman.
Yes, he is.
Full stop.
Yep. Because that's what we
Banyan,
grew up on.
I will go down there and I will end you, Banyan. Oh, don't get him started on that.
But the other ones that we've had, what was it? Superman Returns. What was his name?
Brandon Roth.
Brandon. I think he had the look of Superman. He just didn't have the.
No, he didn't have the charisma. He has a different type of charisma.
No, I'm talking about physical look. I'm talking about physically, his face and everything.
He had the good look there, but he didn't have enough charisma to do it.
Correct.
And the story, not his fault. The story was not good.
No, Superman Returns. What is that? Which one?
Yeah. I mean, full points on him for staying in the acting gig. I mean, that could have killed someone's career, but because it wasn't his fault at all.
No.
And then this latest, I like Henry Cavill.
Yep.
I don't hate his Superman. I hate what they've done with the Superman. When the end of Justice League, you could see what could have been Superman. You're like, that would have been a good Superman.
Yep.
Luckily, we skipped one of the reboots, which was Nick Cage playing Superman.
Oh,
that
God.
was the thing that was going to happen.
Oh, man. And even seeing the pictures of him dressed up in
God.
the outfit is bad.
Yeah, that was the thing that was going to happen. Superman Returns is kind of rough. So yeah, that was sort of weird. That's a reboot didn't necessarily go off so well. And it's because they told Superman's origin story again. We know Superman's origin.
Yeah.
Superman's origin is a half an hour story, not an entire movie, Man of Steel.
Mm-hmm.
But they do that with everything. You can even cross genre reboots, TV shows to movies. Lost in Space.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't need that. We knew what Lost in Space was. People could find out easily what Lost in Space is. But they want so much to try and put their own spin on things that they don't let people go and find out. Let people go and find out.
Well, Lost in
One
Space.
best thing DC did was bring characters in without fully fledged movies. And I know that sounds stupid, but you didn't have origin stories. That was good because people knew who these people are. They're iconic characters. Super Friends was a thing that existed for years. We know who all these iconic characters are.
Especially iconic characters. Like, we are getting Captain Marvel.
Absolutely. She needs a movie because people don't know who Captain Marvel is.
Correct. Yeah, a lot of people don't know who Captain Marvel is, so yeah, you do need a,
Cyborg could have gotten a Justice League could have gotten a full movie, and that would have been worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason Henley, put the DC animation crew in charge of making movies. Yes, they're much stronger than the movie making crew, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, but you get some reboots there. But so many things, it's like their thing. I reviewed late last year RoboCop and RoboCop. Reboot didn't really need to happen. I don't necessarily hate the reboot, but it was modernized, but it told the same basic story, just not different enough to be worth it.
Yeah.
There are reboots that are worth it, but it is tough.
The Thing.
The Thing, absolutely. But then they redid it again. That wasn't necessary. You get like the 50s thing to John Carpenter's 80s thing, cool. But then you get the thing that came out in the 2000s, wasn't necessary.
No, it wasn't. Wasn't worth it.
So on a similar topic, you get the reboots that are backdoor reboots or something like that. So I found out recently, what was the name of that movie? Deep Rising?
Don't know that one.
Which is sort of let me make sure I'm looking at the right movie. The point I'm making is at the end of that movie, they end up on was Deep Rising. Treat Williams, a group of heavily armed hijackers board a luxury ocean liner in the South Pacific Ocean to loot it, only to do battle with a series of large-sized, tentacled, man-eating sea creatures. That movie ends, they escape it onto an island, and that island is Skull Island with King Kong, and that was supposed to be into a King Kong reboot. I'm not making this up. I did not drink enough to make that up. So, stuff like that happens, because like we said, Godzilla gets rebooted all the time. King Kong's been rebooted a couple times, and about to be rebooted again, like Xander Warlord actually noted, because there will be Godzilla versus Kong as part of this new series of Godzilla. They've got that planned, but they're taking it a little slower, which is cool. There's tons of reboots out there. I mean, they did Total Recall, unnecessary.
Well, talk about a reboot where they both were good. The original and the reboot were really good, in my opinion. True Grit.
Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, True Grit. I mean, it's a classic. And then when the new one came out, I'm like, ooh, you're kind of messing with something. Ooh, and it was really good.
Yeah, I was surprised how much I liked the new one.
The Magnificent Seven.
Yeah.
And that movie's been... So that's the thing where I want to throw some shade at guys who do reboots. You're doing all these reboots when you don't need to. There are a million... You know how the joke Die Hard on an X or Die Hard in a Y? You don't need to do a reboot of Die Hard. You can make your own version in a different thing. But they want that brand name recognition, that nostalgia attack, when you don't need it. Like Magnificent Seven... I mean, really, I don't know how much nostalgia you got from Magnificent Seven, but it did a good job. Honestly, the TV to movie move can be called a reboot because in almost every case, it's not actually not actually a continuation. I mean, Charlie's Angels, not a continuation. It is basically a reboot to the movies. Any of those movies, it's weird. And then TV series rebooted. I mean, we have to talk about Battlestar Galactica, which is one of the most successful reboots slash reimaginings ever.
Mm-hmm.
Which I liked both of. I mean, I
I
was
like
a huge fan of original Battlestar Galactica.
It's because they're both really different.
Yeah.
It's not like they just said they took the broad stroke character names and then smartly as they went along, they even said like we don't need this part of the reboot. We don't need Boxy in this. Let's go away. Stargate. Stargate is technically a continuation of movie to TV series.
Correct.
So I'm not sure how much that is, but that does occasionally happen. But I mean, reboots are here to stay because the movie industry likes having the brand names. They like franchises. Marvel, for all the wonder and joy and everything we've gotten from Marvel, rather than taking the right notes from it, all Hollywood has taken as notes from that is, hey, franchises are awesome. Having franchises that work together and you get to keep, people want to come back and see again and again and again because they're interlaced, those are going to be awesome. Those are the way of the future. Not, hey, we just like well-made movies. If you can get them together, that's cool. But if you can't, it's okay. Just make good movies.
Which we're coming close to our media section. So Let's talk about remakes that are coming out. I don't know if you've researched it, but I did look up some of the remakes that are coming out. You ready?
We don't start with the Bumblebee being a reboot of the Transformers series?
Well, we talked about that in the media section, but this one is movies that haven't come out or are about to come out that are remakes. Pet Sematary is coming back out. Old Stephen King, really cool. That's about to hit theaters. I'm going to run down the list. Kind of hold your applause until the end.
I'll make vomiting noises occasionally.
Or horror, yeah, applause or horror.
The Never-Ending Story, The Birds, Creature from Black Lagoon, Scarface, Short Circuit, Flight of the Navigator, Weird Science, Mortal Kombat, Police Academy, Firestarter, Shaft, Sister Act, and White Men Can't Jump.
They're rebooting Shaft.
Yes.
Shaft's technically a sequel to the Samuel L. Jackson reboot, which isn't technically a reboot. It's a soft sequel to the original Shaft.
Yeah.
So we can kind of take the Shaft out of that.
Yeah, Shaft is kind of if.
Phrasing, John. Phrasing.
I have no reason why they would make some of these like White Men Can't Jump. Why?
Nope, not necessary. It's a product of its time.
They're remaking Big Trouble in Little China, but it's kind of not a remake. It's kind of a sequel.
I've heard that. I'm interested if The Rock is still attached.
Yeah, The Rock is supposedly still attached. I mean, we have Hellboy coming out pretty soon. The new Hellboy.
A reboot or another sequel?
Reboot.
New actor. Yeah. So there's a handful of times that a reboot or a remake is worth it. Technology issues. I talked about this in Logan's Run episode.
Mm-hmm.
And my boss, who loves Logan Run, it's one of his favorite movies, it totally agrees with me. Technology has gotten to a point where you could properly remake that movie and make it better because of remake.
How about Weird Science?
I don't need that. Why?
Weird Science is fucking misogynistic as fuck in the beginning.
Yeah.
Trying to teach these young kids non-misogynistic lessons, but man.
This is what I'm trying to wrap my head around is how they're going to do it so that it is not so misogynistic.
To be fair, it has a non-misogynistic message overall.
Yeah.
But it's really, I don't think you can make that movie anymore.
Nope. Because they're possibly doing Labyrinth also.
Why?
Yep.
Who you can eat is going to package like David Bowie. You're welcome, KovnikScottyPotty.
I heard Princess Bride too.
Yes,
No.
Princess Bride. You don't need to remake that.
No.
Someone give me a plane ticket. I'm going to go punch people in Hollywood.
Like, they're trying to remake The Crow. Okay? And they've made sequels of it and stuff, but they were trying to get
The sequels
Jason...
are bad.
Yeah, the sequels were horrible. We're trying to get Jason Momoa to do it, but he backed
That
out of
seems
it.
weird.
So
I just,
difficult to remake something like The Crow
yeah,
because a man lost his life making that movie. I mean, do you really want? How do you even start?
you just start over from scratch. You would have to start that all
Because
over from scratch.
I love The Crow.
Oh yeah, the original, loved it.
It is great movie.
Yeah,
Brandon Lee was going to be a great star, but I mean, it was tragic, and it took a long time for the guy who accidentally, had the gun, who fired the gun, and it had that piece lodged in it and killed him to get over it, and he's passed too, unfortunately.
yeah.
Um, they just covered The Crow on my Junk Food Cinema, the movie podcast I follow, and they love it too. It's worth checking out that episode if you love The Crow, but I don't know how you'd remake that. I mean, of all the movies, like all of those are kind of what the fuck. The Crow might be the most what the fuck.
Well, I mean, they are doing Dune. I mean, that's been the talk of a
To be
long.
to be fair, have they ever done Dune right?
They've never done it really right. I mean, I like the David Lynch Dune,
Yes, me too.
but
From what I understand, they didn't do. It's just not done right.
right.
It's done. I mean, quick. It's an enjoyable movie based off the based off in broad strokes that series, but then people talk about other miniseries for Dune. I haven't watched them, but yeah, I mean, oh my god, how are you going to do that? The Flight of the Navigator? Come on, do you need to remake that?
There's no need to that to be remade because it's
Same with Neverending Story.
yeah. You're just going to be telling the same crap.
Yeah. This is what we're stuck with, the curse of big retelling. And what was one? There's one you mentioned. Scarface.
Yeah,
Scarface is already a remake. Don't need to do it again.
correct. What was another one? There was another one I saw recently. Oh, they're thinking about in production right now remaking Highlander.
Highlander's been in production for 10 years plus. Yeah. Ryan Reynolds was attached for a while. Let's be honest. Does this need to happen? No. Probably not. I mean, Will it happen? To be fair, original Highlander does not hold up well.
They are doing a remake of Logan's Run, written by the writer that did Rogue One.
Oh, interesting. I mean, again, so there are reasons you can remake a movie or reboot a series. I like the Transformers reasoning is that, really, it's still a popular franchise, but obviously their story is not going anywhere, and people have started to react negatively to the way they make those movies. So I don't have a problem with them sort of taking the name and running with it. Star Trek was the perfect example of how to do it right.
Yeah.
I think we should probably end on this one because it's proper media section. None of their stuff went away, but time travel happened, and now there's this new timeline. And I thought they did a good job with that. I thought that was an interesting and inventive way to make a whole reboot of the Star Trek series and keep it going. But I don't know. I mean, technology. There's some movies that technology could make it better. I mean, if you want to remake Megaforce with proper technology and budget, sure, I'm in. Not even ironic. I would totally watch that. But there's a lot of these movies that I don't feel hold up poorly. I could do a reimagining of certain things that are old and of their time to a more modern time. But, that's a whole different thing. That's sort of like the whole, Magnificent Seven / Seventh Samurai / Battle Beyond the Stars. Or the whole Million Alien ripoffs. Leviathan, Deep Star Six, which are both like alien underwater.
Yeah.
There's ways to do it better than I think Hollywood's doing it. I think they've gotten into lazy mode. I mean, I think we're over. We're done. Movies are done when they try and remake Back to the Future.
Super classics.
At that point, you're like,
Um,
no, dude, get out.
so let's go ahead and go start our movie section.
You got it.
Media section. I have one, two, three.
Only 3 Gonzo? You're slipping.
It's because they were 2 binge watches.
I have 2.
I have one, and one of mine is one of Gonzo's, I think.
Yeah, we'll save that one for last. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I'll
So
go with
with
my
that
first one.
means, yeah, you should start, Gonzo.
Okay. Of course, this week we had our Valentine's party. Oh, sorry. Hold on.
I tried to bite my mouth too much.
Sorry, my airbrush decided to kick in for a second.
Yep.
So we had our Valentine's party at school, and so I had to find a movie for the kids to watch that was age appropriate and school appropriate, and we watched the movie Leap. It's on Netflix. It's the story about 2 orphans that run away from the orphanage. One wants to be a dancer, and the other one wants to be an inventor. Honestly, it's really about the girl that wants to be a ballerina. The boy is a side character that just kind of floats in and out. He's there, but it's really not about him. But it's computer animated. Really good computer animation too. I was really impressed by it. It had some good music. It had good acting. The style kind of reminded me of the way they did Ratatouille. With the way their character designs are. And the way that they looked. It had some really good lessons. My kids really liked it, except for one, which he doesn't like it unless it's a hard or R-rated movie and there's a lot of blood and guts and so on and so forth.
So not school appropriate. No.
Yeah, not school appropriate movies. But it's a story about a girl that leaves the orphanage to go become a ballerina, steals the ID of a rich girl to get into the ballet company, and of course the girl does not know how to do ballet at all. She dances like it was you and I dancing, but as ballet.
I don't think you ever want to see that.
And so it's like really, really bad, but it's very funny and very entertaining. The characters are really good. You can really enjoy the characters as they are. There's some good life lessons involved with this. Even my kids were getting this one. It was like, yeah, that girl's a bitch. And I'm like, why is she? And they were like, well, she treated her like crap because she's an orphan. She is not treating her right. And then, they got all the little life lessons that were in it that the, directors or whoever was trying to get going. Had some good one-liners, had some good art, had some good comedy in it. But overall, it was a really good movie. Pretty childish if you don't like any of those type of movies, but it was really good. I was really impressed. It's a good watch. It's a good easy watch too. You don't have to, it's not anything deep. You do like to watch it because there's some funny things going on. So it was really, really good. I recommend it. Maybe one space herpes, just because it's kind of, low kid, but it's still a good solid. I'd watch it again. I watched it 3 times actually. I watched it for myself to peruse before to make sure it was okay for my kids, and then twice during the day. So I enjoyed
Not
it.
pedantic, wouldn't it be one space herpy, not plural?
Yeah.
I mean, I am being pedantic, but I blame alcohol.
Before we get started, anything else? If you are in any of the chat channels, make sure you say hi because we are about to give away 2 gift certificates to Tectonic Craft Studios. We're going to go with one more review, and then we'll give those away. If you do not put a hi or Gonzo, give it to me in any of the chat channels, you will not be part of this drawing, and John will roll to see who it is.
Oh, I'm going to roll, huh?
Yeah, you're going to roll because we don't have an app for the Facebook group.
I mean, it's easy, but fair enough. So my first one is one I watched last night with... actually, I watched both of them with Bania now I think about it. Was The Long Kiss Goodnight. Okay. With Samuel L. Jackson and Gina Davis.
Uh-huh.
And? You guys there?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. All right. Looks like everything froze for a second. I think
we're riveted.
my internet connection is kind of weird. But so it's a Shane Black movie as the gentleman who wrote both Lethal Weapon and Last Boy Scout, plus Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and The Nice Guys.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yeah.
Man, I haven't seen that in forever.
Yeah. I watched this based off recommendation of people who like Shane Black, and it's an interesting movie. I'm not sure. I think it's a great movie. I think it's okay. It is definitely edited weird. So the whole premise is Gina Davis is what everyone thinks is a normal woman. She just washed up on the shore in New Jersey, 8 years ago, and has been running around with no memory. And then stuff happens. She's in the Christmas parade, and people see her on the Christmas parade and figure out that she's actually Charlie Baltimore, this old U.S. Assassin / counter intelligence agent. And then fun ensues with Samuel L. Jackson playing a skeezy detective who's been looking into her past life and able to find some stuff. And basically, the government wants her dead now because they think she knows about their plan, which I'm not going to spoil what it is. And it's basically her trying to figure out her backstory, figure out what they're after, how to stop it, and also to sort of manage between the two parts of her now. Because there's the old assassin part of her who hates the new school teacher part of her, but then you realize her old assassin's kind of a bitch, and the new school teacher is actually much more interesting. So it has some really, really good lines. It has some really, really interesting ideas and some good solid action, but I just think it was edited kind of weird, not put together necessarily as well as it could have been. The director, Rennie Harlan, is not exactly an expert director. Not really a great one, so I think it's okay. I give it 2.5 space herpes. It's worth watching. I got it as part of a collection for cheap. It's got some other, strong female character movies on there. But you should watch it. It's got some good stuff, and more Samuel L. Jackson's always good. But I don't think you're gonna find it as a classic like some people do.
All right. John, give me roll a d6.
And I only see 3 people, so
Yep. One person
D6.
will not get it.
I roll a.
Actually, roll a d3. How about that?
Well, that's a d6 divided by 2. I can do that.
Yeah, do that.
I gotta. I'm
Higher
rolling
math.
an actual die for you guys here. An actual die.
An actual die.
right here.
Let's see if we hear it clank around.
That is a 3.
Jason Henley, you do get 1 gift certificate, and roll it one more time.
Oh my god.
We're giving away 2.
4. So that would be if you're doing a D3 or a D2 now. D2, that's 2.
That would be Xander. Xander and Jason Henley, make sure you send us a message in Facebook. You can message me directly. I don't have a problem with that. And I will give you the code for your gift certificate to Tectonic Craft
All right,
Studios.
Dan. That's what happens when your name starts with a B.
Man, it's just silly.
No, it's fine.
I guess I can go with my second one. I watched the second season of Dragon Prince, which was from the creators, of course, Avatar. And I know I gave this a little bit of a hard time on the animation, because the animation did have some issues, very stutter lag type thing. But they did improve on it. I will say they improved their animation this time, but they changed their artistic style up a bit too. But it changed for the better, in my opinion. It didn't change it worse. It changed for the better. It was just different because you could tell it. Especially when it was real close up and very detailed looks on characters. So they did improve their animation this time. Story was still good. Comedy was still good. It is still, still stuff made by the same crew, so they still have the same comedy style. You still like the characters. The characters are still cool. The world is even fleshed out even more. You get to find I think they're called Sun Elves in this one, which had some cool magic items and cool things. You do learn some more backstories of some characters, like the mother and father, and the mother and father of another character. You find out how some people die, which was really cool. You get to find out some more about the dragons in the world. It comes down on some sad notes, because people are realizing that this is war. The pirate. There's a pirate that captains the boat, which is really cool. He's blind. He's got 2 eye patches. Which is which is pretty funny. And so they got some good stuff. It was still good. I don't think it was a bit as good as the first one first season story wise, but it's definitely better animation in the second season. Maybe pushing half a Space Herpes to a Space Herpes, but still good. Can't wait to see the other season. Hopefully they get another season because there's some good storytelling going on there. The world's really vibrant. They got cool things going on. You kind of feel sad for Bait because he kind of gets pushed around a bit in this one, and Bait is such a cool character. I even showed a couple of episodes to my kids at school because it's age appropriate, and they thought it was like the most amazing thing in the world. They laughed the entire time through episode 1, so can't wait to show them episode 2.
Cool.
When we get some time. So go see it. If you liked the first one, you liked the second season.
So back to me, huh?
Yeah, back to you.
Well, let's see how far in it. So I'm going to talk about The Expanse.
Okay.
Because they just put The Expanse on Amazon Prime for free again.
Yep. I introduced that to one of my teachers this week.
Yeah, so super cool. I'm 6 episodes in of season 3. I have stopped. There's 13 episodes because it's actually at a really, really good spot, and it feels like it's like a season ender. I'll of course go back to watching it here soon, but man, it is fucking great.
Yes, it is.
I mean, if you guys have Amazon Prime, just go watch it. Seriously, if you like sci-fi, the fight scenes, the battle scenes in this are everything you wanted from a sci-fi battle and you didn't know it. And granted, for the most part, it is hard sci-fi, and they play into it. They use that well. They make good characters. They make good villains who you want to see die in the slowest, most painful ways you could possibly think of. To me, that's the sign of a good villain. Not just, I want him dead. No. I want him to die slowly in agonizing, torturous pain. And there are several of those. The characters are all... They all feel like they have real motivations and real goals. They're not all just like... The evil guys are not just evil. You see where all of them are coming from. They may be a terrible place, but you see where they're coming from. And the good guys, they're not all good guys. I mean, some are. And this is a great scene, not as a spoiler, where one of the characters goes to another one, no, man, you're not that guy. Because he's about to execute another guy. And that guy walks away, and the guy's like, oh, thank God. And then that character turns around and says, I am that guy. And it's great. It has some great moments, great sci-fi. Love it to pieces. Can't wait to finish season. Can't wait to see season 4 when it comes out on Amazon Prime. I will not shit you and say it is almost worth the price of Amazon Prime by itself. Like literally, when season 4 gets released, you could get Amazon Prime for a year for the $110 or whatever it costs. It's worth it right there. For those 4 seasons of TV, it's going to be worth it. For the 3 that exist, it's worth it. If you're not, do I have to give a rating? 0 space herpes, even though they're in space. They don't care. Space herpes don't exist in hard sci-fi, and their stories are great. It's awesome. Hands down, one of my favorite sci-fi series ever.
Oh yeah, I introduced it to one of my teachers because he's a pretty big sci-fi nut, and he was like, he hadn't heard of it yet, and I'm like, oh, we have a 3-day weekend. I know what you're doing this weekend. Get started.
Yeah. That's right, baby. Remember the can't. I actually do want to rewatch it from the beginning, which is rare because I have so much media to consume that I haven't. That It's rare that I want to rewatch the whole series or something. That might be something I can watch while I'm hobbying if I'm not streaming it. But yeah, good stuff all the way through.
So I guess just Kathy's and ours left?
Yeah, we left you guys 10 minutes. Go to town.
All right. Excuse me, I haven't been talking for a little bit here. Jim and I watched all of, excuse me, the episodes of the Umbrella Academy yesterday.
Just finished that today.
And it's, you know, a show is good when not only does Jim stay awake for the whole thing, but he stays awake for all 10 episodes and watches them all with me in one day, which means he's not working. He took the day off, basically. It sucked him in like halfway through the first episode. He missed the first half hour of the first one. So now he's like, now I have to go back and watch that first half hour that I missed. After watching the entire thing and knowing what happens, he's like, need to see that. So it was so much fun, and I cared about every character, every single character, and what happened to them.
Yes.
And it was interesting that it was all shades of gray as far as good and bad things go. There wasn't really this one's evil, this one's not evil, this is a bad thing that's happening. You don't know.
There's also something to say about the way it was filmed, too. I told John about this because I was like, hey, you got to put this on your queue to watch. It did have a very much a feel of Watchmen. If you saw the movie, it has that very much same vibe as Watchmen.
I was thinking Gotham, too.
Yeah, Gotham. Very dark, very brooding, very, hard. And it was filmed very dark, too. There was quite a few scenes that were really, really dark, and then some that were really open.
But despite the characters all being, like, what I'm guessing is, like, early 20s,
yep.
It wasn't, like, brooding like the CW.
Yeah. Yeah. It was more
Otherwise,
like...
we would not have been watching it.
Yeah, it was more like brooding, like, it was more like Watchmen. It's an alternate Earth where John F. Kennedy doesn't get assassinated. And they have to go through some plot things. The basic story is there's these people. They have a child. They have the child the same day they are impregnated and give birth to the child on the same day they get it. Because they start off with this one girl, she is not looking pregnant at all, and then the next minute she's 9 months pregnant and giving birth to the child. And the children are born, and a eccentric millionaire tries to buy all the children from them.
Did they say that there was like 18 children?
Yes.
And this guy only managed to get 7 of them.
Correct.
So you know that there's other ones that are out there.
Yes. And there's... Because this is also based on a comic book, if anybody haven't guessed. It's based off a comic book. And so the world is different where superheroes are known. Because the Umbrella Academy kids actually go out and do good and fight and everything. So it's not like it's not unheard of. There's supposed to be more supervillains. I did look up after watching the entire series what they changed from the book to the series, because I always like to know that stuff.
Yeah, having never read the comic, I was blissfully unaware of what quote unquote should have happened.
Correct. Which is okay.
I didn't have any bias like that.
Yeah. But there was very much that wasn't changed, but what they did change, looking at it, was really good. Because I guess, since Kathy's seen it, Ben is actually not in the comic book at all. Or not in the comic book at all, but they added him into the story. and
I
Ben was
loved what they
great.
did with them in the story.
Yeah. We should talk about who created this, because this is made by Gerard Way. He was the lead singer of My Chemical Romance, which explains why this show had amazing music. I mean, the music for this show was perfect.
The music was good, and then the incidental like soundtrack type songs were fun too. Very like 1980s.
The
Yes.
score.
Yeah, everything was really good on it. It was really, really good musical wise, which you should expect from a musician that wrote, this comic book. It's dark. They don't pull any punches. There's things you're like, oh shit, and do what?
Yeah, it's violent.
It is.
Very violent.
It is. And there's some stuff that you're just like, damn.
Oh
really
yeah,
good
didn't
lines.
see that coming.
Yeah.
Yep. Every single episode, we were like, didn't see that coming.
But there was a lot of good things about it. It was filmed really well. The characters were done really well. All the characters were really fun to watch. I think Klaus was my favorite character just because of his outrageous, like, one of the lines that's in the previews is, hey, we're going to save the world. And Klaus is like, oh, that again? And he gets up. I mean, he just got this, this attitude that I really liked. The actors, a lot of, I would say, no-name actors for the most part, except for Ellen Page is in it, and I'm not an Ellen Page fan. She just doesn't, it just didn't get me. She did good, but I never understood what the big thing about her was. But it was good. I'm hoping we're going to get another season to it, which they better, because it left on a cliffhanger. The story does have to do with a lot of time travel things going on. So you do have to kind of remember that. Because I know a lot of people have problems with time travel. Well, if you already knew that, you should have gone back in time and refixed it and so on and so forth.
Time doesn't always work that way.
Correct. But I mean, you have to move at the speed of plot, if you know what I'm saying. And it did really good. All the characters and their superpowers weren't your typical normal superpowers either. They were unique in their own way. They could have been flipped off of things, but you just didn't follow it. Especially Ben. The first scene with Ben in it when they're kids is like, what the fuck did he just do? And you don't find out until later.
Yeah, you're not entirely certain what his superpower is, because you basically see it as a silhouette through a frosted glass door. You're not really certain.
Yeah, until much later in the series. Each episode was good. There wasn't a slow episode. It does give into the notion of bad guys not always having to have superpowers. Kind of like a Lex Luthor type thing. There is some over-the-top technology. Mother is really cool. Or Mom.
Yeah.
She was really cool. Apo, or whatever the monkey gorilla, orangutan.
Pogo?
Pogo, that's what it was. Pogo was really neat. I really liked Pogo. He was good.
Yeah.
There's a monkey in it?
Oh yeah, there's actually
monkey.
technically
jumped
two.
that up like halfway up the queue.
A
He
monkey.
was awesome.
Yeah, a monkey that dresses like a butler with glasses and a cane. How about that?
Yeah. He was awesome.
Which, that was something I looked up also, because Luther, the real big strong guy, I was kind of curious about his thing, and they do describe what happened. And after watching the series, I went back and checked, what they changed. And what they changed on him, on his character-wise, would have been really hard to film and make it look good, the way his character was supposed to be. Because Luther's character was actually supposed to be his head on top of a Martian gorilla body, I think is what it was. So it would have been kind of hard to, budget-wise. Yeah,
I don't even know, but
you got to go watch it.
I absolutely got the impression that there was some gorilla physiognomy there.
Yes. And they do talk about it in there.
Excuse me.
But it was really good. The lines are really good. The comedy was good. The outlying characters were good. The secret society stuff was cool. There was plenty of things to go with this show that if you liked dark superhero things like Watchmen, you'll enjoy this. And it really wasn't over the top superpowers either, except for, some of the ending stuff. But overall, it wasn't like everybody just snapped their fingers and they won. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, one guy could throw knives really well. That was his superpower. He could actually curve knives. One person could time travel, teleport. One person was super strong. One person could make people do things by whispering stuff to them or make them forget. Won't spoil Ben's power because that one's kind of a cool one. One person can talk to the dead. So I mean, it was superpowers, but they weren't over the top crazy.
Yeah.
It was really, really good. I really hope we get a second season. I hope they finish out because it's 12 books, 12 comics, and like 3 short stories. And I hope we get the second season.
Gotta see what happens to the world.
Gotta see what happens. Because I guess the story is that they're trying to stop the apocalypse. And so they've got to go through all that. And it was really neat. I enjoyed it all the way. No problem. I can't wait to see more. So 0 space herpes for me.
Yeah.
I got that.
There were a few moments where it almost dipped into the CW level of broody young adult, but it avoided it. It avoided it. There would always be something that happens to yank you out of it just when you think you're on the cusp of that. I was thinking it was like Cabin in the Woods where you're all set for the real horror stuff, and then they go to the people in the lab. It was that kind of quirkiness.
Yeah.
Spoiler, haven't seen that movie. It's not a spoiler. I've heard that before, Kathy. I'm just fucking with you.
And also
I
number
was
5.
going to say we have a rule, when a movie's been out for so long.
Also number 5. Number 5's character was really good. He was a young boy, played in this with a bunch of adults. It was really good.
Yeah, he did a good job.
Yeah, everything was really good. So, I'm all in on it.
Yep.
0 space herpes for me.
0 space herpes for me as well.
Go watch it. I think it's 10 episodes and about 45 minutes per episode. So that's the reason why I only got 3 things watched this
Look,
weekend.
it's got a talking monkey in it. I'm going to start at the worst it could possibly be is 2 space herpes. 'Cause talking monkey. So you got to watch it then.
Go watch the trailer for it, John, and you'll understand. KovnikScottyPotty, I still need you to message me or message us on Facebook so I can give you your awesome gift certificate, buddy. So, other than that, that's an episode, guys. We made it through our remake episode.
I'm John.
Yeah, I'm Gonzo.
And I'm Kathy. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Good night.
Gonzo, your voice changed like partially through that cast.
Just a little bit. Hi, I'm Kathy. How are you?
What, Kathy became Mr. Hanky?
Hi-yo.
Oh my god.
Want to get high?
Smell like flowers.
I thought I was the drunk one. What the hell?